Let's whip up a batch of mango jelly. You will need sugar, water, fruit pectin, and of course, mangoes. Now let's talk about supplies. You need canning jars. You're going to need some large pots to sterilize your canning jar. You'll also need a large pot to mix your jelly. Get yourself a wooden soup spoon and a ladle, a handful of bowls of different sizes, and a knife or two. Step 1, sanitize your canning jars. You want to submerge these guys underwater, which means filling them up so water's on the outside and the inside of the jar. You want to put the lids in as well. Keep them covered in water and boil for 1 hour. While our jars are boiling inside the house, let's make our simple sauce, our sweetener. Now earlier I told you the ingredients, but I didn't talk about how much of each ingredient you need. But the ratio is 4 to 2 to 1. So just think in terms of, for every 4 units of mango measured in pounds, you will use 2 units of sugar measured in cups and 1 unit of water measured in cups. So for 4 pounds of mango, you will use 2 cups of sugar and 1 cup of water. So if you wanted to do about 4 of these, you would just reduce that to 2 pounds of mango, 1 cup of sugar, and a half cup of water. Now today I've got 13 glasses I want to fill. So I'm going to do about 6 pounds of mango. So by my ratio, which is 4 to 2 to 1, I'm going to start out with 6. 2 is half of 4, so 3 is half of 6. I'm going to use 6 pounds of mango. I'm going to use 3 cups of sugar, and then half of that is a cup and a half of water. So I'm just stirring 3 cups of sugar into a cup and a half of water right now. Now I mentioned another ingredient earlier, fruit pectin, and I didn't give it out when I did my ratio earlier, but essentially you're starting out with the number of mangoes in pounds, you're cutting that number in half, and that tells you the amount of sugar. You then cut that number in half, and it tells you the amount of water. Well, for fruit pectin, you go back to the number of pounds of mango you started out with, and you'll do 1 teaspoon per pound if you want to use this fruit pectin. We're going to start preparing our mango. So here's a mango I picked off the tree. Let's get us another mango here. I saw a ripe one up here. Ah, there it is. I saw this guy up there. There's a ripe one. There's another ripe one right next to it. The tree I'm standing under right now is called a Valencia Pride. That's the variety mango we're using. And these mangoes come in at about 2 pounds a piece. Let me see what this guy weighs. He's just at about 2 pounds. Some are a little bigger, some are a little smaller. So right here I have 2, 4, 6 pounds of mango. And I said I'd be using 6 pounds of mango for the amount of mason jars I want to make today. But a lot of the weight inside a mango is actually skin. These are kind of thick skinned. And also you have the seed in there. So I'm going to need more than just these 3. So I got this 4th guy here, which is kind of a reject. See, like half of it kind of got scarred up a little bit. So I'm just going to use the right side of it. And then I've got a couple other pieces of fruit here. I call this a plum mango. This is from a seedling mango tree. I sell these sometimes when they're in season, but they have a very brief season. They have a very unique flavor, and I just call them a plum mango. And then this here is a Naomi mango from the tree that's just behind me, all the way over there. So these 2 were rejects from filling orders this week. You know, this guy had a little bit of a stain on him, and this one's just dirty, but it doesn't affect the fruit quality at all. And that's what's nice about making like jams and jellies and preserves and pies and all kinds of stuff like that, is you can use your reject fruit. Now this is a messy job, so I think what I'm going to do is cut them all up first, and then I'm going to squeeze the mango until I have 6 pounds. And by the time I do that, it should be time to add the rest of the ingredients to the pot here. So the Valencia Pride has like a natural tartness, you know, natural to its flavor, so it makes a good match with the sugar. So okay, so there's that one, that side. That side. What I like to do next is I just squeeze the juice, squeeze the pulp. I take the skin and I just kind of get whatever pulp off of it I can. So I'm still a little bit shy of 6 pounds. Now here's a little Valencia Pride. Let me feel it. Oh yeah, he's ready. Okay, there we are. We're a little bit over 6 pounds. Now earlier earlier on the video I told you materials. I forgot to mention a towel, and I mean a bath towel. If you're going to be working with these mangoes, don't mess around with a rag, don't mess around with paper towels. You're going to need a legit big towel, maybe even a beach towel, because these things are messy. So let's see, we got this going here. I have it reduced to low heat. I didn't use like a food processor or a blender or anything. I just squeezed it right out of the mango skin themselves, and that gives us this nice pulpy mix, which will give us a nice blend of like little chunks of mango in the jam, as well as like the nice juicy mango. Okay, so now I'm going to add, in my case, my 6 pounds of mango into the mix. Yeah. And as I stir, I'm going to add 6 teaspoons of pectin. Now you'll recall that I said you use a teaspoon of pectin for every pound of mango. So again, as far as ratios go, this is a very easy recipe. Start out with the number of pounds of mango you want to make. Then you cut that number in half, that's how many cups of sugar. Then you cut that number in half, that's how many cups of water. Then you go back to the number of pounds of mango you started with, and that's how many teaspoons of pectin you'll use. So for my recipe, I said I want to do 6 pounds of mango, so that means 6 teaspoons of the fruit pectin. It means 3 cups of sugar, and it means 1.5 cups of water. Now, depending on timing, I could have maybe made like a mango passion fruit, or maybe even a mango pineapple blend, but I don't have enough passion fruit, and my pineapples are still a little too immature. While this thing works its way up to a boil, let's go check on 2 of my late season mango trees. See if they're ready to give us fruit yet. This first tree I want to check on, this is a Hawaiian mango variety. It's called a Raposa. This was developed out at the horticultural department at the University of Hawaii and named after a guy, I think it was Herbert Raposa, R-A-P-O-Z-A, Herbert Raposa. And these are a late season variety, but all the late season variety mangoes are starting a little early, 3 to 4 weeks early this year. And the nice thing about these mangoes is they tell you when they're ready. So see that guy, he's like that purple and kind of like a powdery color. Well, when these guys are ready to pick, they light up. You see this one's more red and it's even soft to the touch. They tell you when they're ready to pick. So I'm glad I came out here to check on this tree because I was able to just harvest this Raposa. I'm not going to lose it to Mother Nature. And by Mother Nature, I mean squirrels. And I hate squirrels. And then another late season variety I have on the other end of the spectrum. So this variety, Raposa, comes all the way from across the country, as far away from South Florida as you can get and still be in the United States, Hawaii. This one here is called a Kit, and it was actually created just down the street at the Kit family property here in Homestead, Florida. And similarly, the Kit is a late season variety, and they too tell you when they're ready to eat. They light up and turn yellow. Now I see this one here fell. I'm hoping I'm not too late. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so you see this guy's turning kind of a dull green, and this one's already starting to light up and turn yellow a little bit. If I came out here probably this morning or last evening, this would have still been on the tree and I'd pick it. So luckily, I got it off the ground before the critters got to it. Let's go check on that mango jam. I just turned the heat down on our mix. Let's take a look here, see what it looks like. Oh, look at that. Look at those beautiful, beautiful hunks of mango in there and that nice jelly. That'll thicken up as it cools. Oh, and it smells so good. Now it's time to get it in the jar. So this is a job you want to be a little careful so you don't get burned. I use a set of these tongs for it, these little forks. And I also use an oven mitt, or a, whatever you call these things, a hot pad or whatever the heck they call them. And now I'll just ladle the jam mix into the jar. Oh, look at that. Now, one thing I discovered in playing around with this the last couple days, I was leaving like a little bit from the top of the jar, but then when this stuff contracts as it cools, it kind of goes way down. So if I was filling it to there, it was going way down to there. So I'm going to fill them up a little extra going forward. Now let me get my top. Let me get a top out of here. Now these are the two-piece tops you see with canning jars, so I'm going to just put the little seal part on there, then twist this guy on. I probably need my towel for that. These are hot, so I'm going to twist that on. And then I was doing this on a live stream the other day, and there was a woman, Sharon, and another one, I can't remember the username, but they said to set the jars upside down after you fill them. So I'm gonna, I don't know, I haven't tried that trick yet, so I'm gonna set them upside down and fill my next jar. There's no need for y'all to really sit here and watch me fill up the rest of these, so I'm gonna start wrapping up the video here. But like I said, you know, I think this recipe applies to any fruit. You have to tweak it a little bit. I'm gonna make a new batch probably in 2 days when I get more of these jars, and I'm not gonna add any water at all. I think there's enough water in these mangoes that I could just boil the mango, the pectin, and the sugar in one batch and get myself a nice thick jam. But I'm gonna start wrapping this up because today's the 4th of July, and I have a neighbor that's a little loud when it's not a holiday. And I could hear him out just getting his music going, and I'll probably get a copyright strike when y'all hear his music playing through the video here. So I hope you learned something, right? So just to reiterate, we had the 4-2 to a half, the 4-2 to 1 ratio, or start with the number of pounds of mango that you want to make, and then cut that in half. That tells you how many cups of sugar, and then cut that in half. That tells you how many cups of water, and then you take a teaspoon of fruit pectin for every pound of mango you use. Boil the water and the sugar till it gets nice and thick. Add your mango, bring that to a boil, boil it for about 5 minutes. While all that's going on, sterilize your mason jars and then put it all in there and let it sit, and you'll have yourself some mango jam. Now, I mentioned earlier, not everyone can walk out and pick a mango off a tree to make their recipe. And so if you'd like to buy some mangoes from me, or when avocado season hits, if you want to get some avocados, you can go to guacfarm.com. GUACFARM.com. We sell our mangoes during mango season. I have a whole grove of avocados all out here. You can probably see some of the avocado trees in the background. We got our shirts, we got our hats. Who knows, maybe someday I'll even start selling mango jam, but I doubt it. This is very labor intensive. It's also a very messy job. So I got a lot of cleaning up to do. So while I do that, you go to guacfarm.com, and I will see you on the next video.